Inference Plus, story short number 8, series B. Every time she drove down Faraday Street, Sala looked for him. She would crane her head and look behind each streetlight, thinking every time that she might have caught a glimpse of him from the corner of her eye, and every time reluctantly forcing her eyes back to the road in front of her and her foot back onto the accelerator. The past, she reminded herself, was in the past. Picking open an old wound was pointless, and it would be impossible to heal it a second time. She would die of blood loss or infection, whichever came first. She would not say his name, not even alone in her car where no one would hear. His name in her mouth would be a spell that would bring everything back, and she was afraid she would drown in the deluge of so much emotion. But she still looked, every time. The minuscule chance to see even a flash of his hand was enough to send a fiery jolt through her heart and make her touch her temple where he used to rest his lips when they slept. There were other streets she could take to get to the grocery store or the post office, dozens of other streets, but she always took Faraday. She told herself it was the shortest route, that it saved her time, but that was only a half-hearted attempt to justify an irrational desire to see him. Sala knew that 20 years of this secret weekly ritual bordered on obsession, and that was why she told no one. Not her friends, and certainly not Jake, and certainly never the part where she slipped off her wedding band and placed it in the cup holder as she turned the corner. It was something she did as automatically and thoughtlessly as breathing. She lived her life. There was Jake and the children and her job. It was a good life. But inside the lumpy sarcophagus of her middle-aged body, she howled and she longed. She was nothing but a thin bag filled to bursting with screams and longing. Her thoughts only went so far as the moment he would emerge from one of the shops that lined the street, guitar slung over his shoulder, slightly grayer, but still wholly himself. It was a ridiculous fantasy that she picked at as though it were an irresistible scab. If she ever actually saw him, she wondered what she would do. Would she stop the car, abandon it with the door ajar in the street and never look back? Or would she look away and pressed softly down on the gas pedal, off to pick up Jake's blood pressure medication from the pharmacy?